he embodies a lot of the talents required. He has the ideas, the technical side, but he's also articulate and he can sell. I think that's terribly important. David, I want to bring you into this conversation because I know you are Chad's partner in this. What areas, I know you're probably more into the design side, but what part of this whole enterprise are you bringing to the table?
So, given our space, being a startup and a technology company, we have to look for some cost-effective ways to provide the service. So I've been helping with the cloud infrastructure that we're using to drive the product, and looking at what we can do to keep our costs low and still provide a good service and really leverage our infrastructure as best as we can. So that's a lot of what we've been focusing on, and will be focusing on is keeping our costs low, but still providing a good service and using whatever technologies we need.
Yeah. Who are your major competitors in this area now, Chad, or David for that matter?
So Square is one of the companies that pioneered this technology.
Space, yeah.
Jack Dorsey, the man who invented Twitter, also came up with Square, and he's been deemed very disruptive. They're not competing in this market here in the BVI, and also PayPal is another major competitor. And there's numerous competitors, but those are the main two.
Yeah. When we, the Premier mentioned in his comments this morning about us doing this conference in Hong Kong, and one of the challenges we had actually was receiving payments, or trying to get payments received by PayPal. And we did all the research and went all looking and tried to find out there were 2 countries in the Caribbean that were not able to do that. We can send, but we couldn't receive the BVI. And I don't think that one was Cuba. I think it was some other country in the Caribbean, which was astounding actually. And I found it amazing because as a financial services jurisdiction, so we began to ask some questions. Apparently there's some issues with the banks and some issues probably that the Financial Services Commission needs to look at. But it was amazing that we were not able to do that. And when you came on board and said, look, you're doing this, I thought it was, you certainly seem to have tapped into a vein with tremendous potential. I want to segue a little bit into some of the more daunting tasks, pieces of being an entrepreneur. And to some extent, I'll try to bring Bill a little bit into this. This is far from publishing.
It's far from publishing, and I want everyone to know I'm not a doer. I don't know how to fix a transmission.
Ease it down on your chest and take it out.
That either call the superintendent or order out.
Yeah.
So, Chad, my hat is off to you.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I want to, Bill, if you can give Chad a little bit of advice. You know, falling down is easy. How do you get up once you make a mistake or you hit an obstacle? I think this is something I know, Bill, you talked a little bit in your book. How do you find the energy and the drive to keep going if you hit a bump in the road, if I can call it that? And maybe Bill, to some extent, if you can point to him a little bit in terms of how do you pull yourself back up after having those experiences? Because you will hit some bumps in the road. There will be things that you thought were going to be easy, whether it's financing, breaking into markets, convincing government to change some regulations, whatever it is, they're going to be there. And you've got to have the fortitude to get past it and think, have a little bit broader, a longer perspective. Any pearls of wisdom, Bill, you want to offer on that?
Well, the book really is, the book is more about just the people you meet along the way. So the great advantage we have at Condé Nast is we know a little bit about a lot, right? You get to meet important people like yourself, you get to meet CEOs of companies, and you sort of glean from them what's made them successful over the course of their lives. And I bet if we sort of talk to the panel people that are running their own entrepreneurial companies, today you get a lot of the same sentiments that are repeated over and over. And one of them that stuck out that I think was really true, and I'd love to hear how you guys are dealing with it at Ching, which is sort of this idea of so what, right? Like if you're into anything and your end game is so fixed that it can't change, there's actually a tremendous high rate of failure, because you've created failure as if I don't get to blank, as opposed to failure is, there is no such thing as failure, right? Anything that you're doing is making the business better. Every setback actually is an advantage. I know these are cliched terms, I'm sure, but I'd love to hear what's your sort of, your so what. If the first round of funding doesn't come, so what? What do you do now?
Go find more funding.
Yeah.
We've had some of those already. Not to say that we've walked any kind of distance yet, just a few steps. But I've been working with a few processors on trying to get the payment processing side put to bed, so you can actually move money, so we can bring a product to market. And some of them had said, we're always looking for this, but right now we're too busy. We can't do this right now.
Is your size is an issue as a startup? Is that one of the things that they're kicking back at you and say,
Yep,
come talk to us once it's up and running?
The things that the reasonings they're giving us is there's a lot of development there, and we still are doing development.
Okay.
So they're too busy with other development to give the dedication and the time to that. They want mature products to fall on their table, and that's hard to do sometimes. And the only thing you can do is go to the next processor, go to more people, stay at it until maybe they'll watch this video and say, oh, this is real.
He's real.
Do it again. So.
Yeah. One of the other things I have to tell you, I'm talking personally now, I find is, and I'm sure people looked at this list of things we had on there, and one of them was a personal board of directors. And so what the devil is that? Let me put it this way. There are people in this room who don't know it, who I would ask for an opinion because they are specialists in the area, and I trust their judgment. And you find that they can give you guidance because not only of the area that they're in, but their long history and their experience in doing a certain thing. And you'll find that networking is very critical. When I was going to look at this idea of doing something in Hong Kong, some of the people in this room who I spoke to, and others are not in this room, but I wanted to bounce the idea off them. Some of them said, you out of your head, you're crazy. It's not going to work. Who's going to come and listen to you in Hong Kong? Nobody knows you there. Others said, yeah, it might work. Call us if it looks like it's going somewhere. And I find that is valuable. People who you can lean on and get their advice, even without them knowing that they're quietly, in a quiet way, being a personal board of director or a member of a personal board of director. Do you have some people who are helping you in that regard?
I do. I have a few people that are helping me in that regard. And one thing I'll add to that is I'll term that mentorship, right?
Right.
And when I was in Boeing, I was lead and head of a enterprise-wide mentoring program, in addition to all the day work stuff that I did for communication and network design. And I learned a lot of mentoring through that. I helped pair 0 to 5 year employees with 20, 30, 40-year employees at Boeing to help do some knowledge transfer and how to retain that knowledge within the company. And I learned a lot about mentoring while doing that. Learned that you need to have a huge list of mentors, people that are helping you, and then you need to have a list of mentees, people that you need to help out. So it teaches you how to become a better mentee so that you can be more effective with your upward mentors.
Yeah.
So yes, a personal board of directors is extremely important, and I realize that.
I like the part you talked about mentors and mentees, because one of the things that I liked about you and having a conversation with you is you're very BVI, and I like the fact that you talked about giving back and being involved in the community. I was saying to Chad, look, there's a new technical school in Bargers Bay, and some of the kids who are keen, there's a lot of kids who are keen on technical things along the lines that you're doing. If you can find a way to get in there and help some of them, because at the end of the day, let's assume this young man is going to be successful. I have no doubts about that. When you get to that, up in the clouds up there, not the ones that David is building, but when you're successful, you have to be able to look back and say, who did I help? Who did I help bring along? Whether it was small ways, it might be some private ways and not necessarily public ways. And one of the challenges we have in the community is a lot of young men who are looking to find other ways, and they might not do what I did in terms of tourism, but they're technically inclined, and it really is an opportunity. And I have to say, what we've done at the technical school is good. So I hope you jump in there and find a way to help some of them, because once they begin to see what you're doing, they're going to come and hang around, and then they help to spread the word. So one of the bits of advice that I will certainly give is for you to look at that. Let's talk a little bit about disruption. Today's world is one that you come up with an idea, and 2 seconds later somebody has another idea that can easily leapfrog what you came up with. Are you having any of those challenges as you try to move this along from a technological standpoint?
Well, at the moment right now in the BVI, no, because there's no company that's doing this on a large basis.
Yeah.
Until Square and PayPal decide to enter the territory. There's not much competition now.
Okay.
I do know of some products here already. There's lots of merchant solutions available, and some of them that utilize credit card terminals that are on top of cell phones. Mm-hmm. But those products are not marketed towards this market.
Because of the size of the market, there's no interest.
Correct.
So you can hide out of the reach of Square until.
Stay on the radar for now.
Stay under the radar for now. Okay. We don't want to forget you there, David. So if you want to jump in and add anything that we are saying, please try and do so. Tell us a little bit about where you are with the whole building of the cloud technical piece of the project.
Well, any good engineer would say it's never completed. There's always more to do. For like a base product, we pretty much have a base product available. We have plenty more security type things we can do to increase our security and better protect our customers' data. And we have definitely more scaling that we need to do to ensure that we can provide the service non-stop without any interruption. And we also have more people we need to bring on board to help with new features and stuff. So there's definitely more to do always, but as far as like kind of a milestone, we're definitely at a point where I think we're about ready to at least do some demos and be able to actually maybe get this thing in use and in people's hands.
Yeah. I wanted to as we begin to wind down a little bit, Chad, tell us the story. How did you get from, I can even be more specific, Red Bay to Boeing?
Long story, okay.
Tell us the short version.
The short version. So I was born and raised in the BVI actually, and I went to St. George's for a very brief period of time, and my primary school and secondary education was at Cedar School. And I followed a friend actually, Paul Collymore. He's Daphne Stouts and Jim Collymore's son. And he was a few years ahead of me in school. And he kind of closed his eyes and threw a dart at the map, and it landed on Seattle, and that's where he went. So I followed him. And after I finished school, I went up to check out Seattle in the mid of December when it was rainy and cold. Did some tests at school up there, passed. Figured they had huge industry, Boeing, Microsoft, Weyerhaeuser, Nintendo, Amazon, you name it, they were there. So I said, this is a good place to land. There's lots of industry, lots of jobs. I can get some experience there. So went to school there and immediately got hired, did an internship with Boeing and immediately got hired at the largest aerospace company in the world on the defense side. And my top picks were Microsoft and Boeing. Microsoft was my number one pick, and I didn't get it. I got the job at Boeing first, and I'm happy I landed there because I don't think I would have exercised my technical networking skills that I came out of college with as much with Microsoft.
And where has this job taken you around the world?
I've been to Australia. I've been to more than 15 states in the U.S. doing stuff. I was put up for opportunity to go to Korea and the UK. So I think those are the places that we did a lot of defense work. I didn't go to Saudi Arabia and Dubai and those places, and not so much India, but a lot of business around the US and with, I guess, Western first world places.
And then Chink said to come back to the Caribbean.
Yes. I actually moved back to the Caribbean for many reasons, but I really missed home. I miss the place I grew up. I miss the ocean. I miss these beautiful islands. And most importantly, I miss my family. I got 15 plus nieces and nephews. I was not having any influence on them up there. So I wanted to come back home to start my family because I appreciated growing up here so much.
Thank you. I have this running conversation with, I have 4 daughters. I have this running conversation with my daughters. I like peace and quiet, so every time I go home, I say, guys, let's go out on the wall and watch the boats in kindergarten. And they say, what boats? This place is boring, Daddy. And they run down. I say, yeah, it's boring. I want to go to New York. And I say, yeah, you're going to end up right here. My oldest daughter, Sarah, who lives in New York, I think she's certainly, I'm not helping anymore, but she's with Price Waterhouse. Every opportunity she gets, she's back here. And I try to explain to the other girls, they say, nah, we don't, she's crazy. We don't want to come back. Yeah. So I'm glad I can see, but I say to them, they will come back. Once it's in your DNA, you will come back. And you don't know what pulls you back, but it's like you said, you grew up here at Red Bay and your friends and your family, it's kind of in your blood. And I'm glad you came back. I really want to thank you for being with us today and sharing your experience, because sometimes as young people, I'm far from being young, but sometimes we think the opportunities are in the square that we live here in the BVI. You are in a world, and my kids and all of our kids are going to grow up in a world that is really, truly global. And they have to survive in that world. And you going to Seattle and coming back might be the spark that begin to help us with some of the technical things at our technical school that I mentioned.
Can I add one thing?
And I really hope you can take me up on that and find a way. Minister Wahlstrom isn't here, but we can point you out to him. Dr. Pickering is there, who knows him quite well. Because you can talk to them the way I can talk to them. And I think that's a critical piece. And if there's a way to help, we really would. I think when you get my age, you look back and say, that was a good thing I did. Bill.
My point was just, statistically, Chad, the millennials, right, are changing the shape of, it's appropriate for entrepreneurship. 77% of them don't want our jobs in an office. They don't want to work in a job. They want to be entrepreneurs. So here he is, gets this amazing job, that travels around the world, and of course he says, I want to do my own thing, right? I think it's most parents' nightmare, but probably your parents' proud.
It's not a nightmare, it's a double nightmare.
Because it's your generation. And so we had this research stuff at our company, because we're always looking about the brand in the future. And what the most interesting point that we took away from millennials is there's 85 million of them. There's a larger number than baby boomers. This will be the first time in American history that this generation will be larger than the generation of the baby boomers. And you think, so what? Well, the so what actually, by 5 years, they'll represent 72% of the workforce in the United States. And they are the first generation since the boomers, right? We've grown up with boomers, right? I'm an Xer. But the boomers have driven everything. Boomers want to work longer, then we work longer. Boomers want to, go luxury, so everything goes luxury. This generation is changing boomer behavior for the first time. The boomer generation was the most private generation in American history. They didn't share anything. They didn't talk about their taxes. They didn't talk about how much money they made. They didn't talk about anything. Guess what they're doing now? They're posting on Facebook. His generation is changing everyone else's behavior. And that is a seismic shift that's happening, and it is going to affect travel in the most powerful way, right? You're changing it with your little computer and your whatever it is. All that is now changing us as a generation to share more, to do things that we've never done before. And I think it's changing how they're going to look at tourism for sure.
Yeah.